The coffee shop went silent the moment the boy walked in. His clothes were soaked from the rain, his hands were shaking, and he was clutching a laptop like his life depended on it. He walked straight to the man sitting alone in the corner, the most wanted cybercriminal in America, and whispered 5 words that changed everything. "My sister needs your help." The room held its breath. But what happened when the hacker opened that laptop? No one could have predicted it. Stay with me until the end because this story will shock you to the core. Before we begin, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Now, let's dive in. Marcus "Ghost" Sullivan was having his usual Wednesday afternoon at the Binary Cafe in downtown Seattle, 2021. As one of the world's most notorious hackers, he'd learned to hide in plain sight. Coffee shops were his office, public Wi-Fi was his playground, and anonymity was his greatest weapon. At 38, Marcus had built a reputation that made government agencies nervous and criminal organizations eager to recruit him. He'd breached Pentagon servers, exposed corporate corruption, stolen millions from offshore accounts, and redistributed wealth like a digital Robin Hood. The FBI had a task force dedicated to finding him. Interpol had his face on watch lists, but nobody knew that Ghost was just a tired man drinking overpriced lattes while the world burned around him. Tonight was supposed to be routine. Finish his coffee, run a few exploits, move money from a corrupt politician's account to homeless shelters, then disappear into the digital shadows like he always did. But then the door opened. The boy couldn't have been more than 13. His dark hair was plastered to his forehead from the downpour outside. His sneakers squelched with each step, leaving wet footprints across the cafe's wooden floor. But it was his eyes that made Marcus look up from his screen, wide, desperate, filled with the kind of fear that transcends age. The kid's gaze swept the cafe, passing over students with their textbooks, freelancers with their design software, couples on awkward first dates. Then his eyes locked onto Marcus, sitting in his usual corner booth with 3 monitors and enough computing power to launch a small satellite. Without hesitation, the boy walked straight toward him. Marcus's instincts screamed danger, and his line of work, unexpected approaches meant law enforcement, rival hackers, or worse. His hand moved subtly toward the kill switch that would fry all his devices in seconds, erasing every trace of his identity. But something made him pause. Maybe it was the way the kid's hands trembled as he clutched that laptop. Maybe it was the desperation in his voice when he spoke. Or maybe, after 10 years of operating in the shadows, Marcus was just tired of running. "Are you Ghost?" the boy whispered, his voice cracking. Every head in the cafe turned. The name Ghost was legend in underground forums, whispered in corporate boardrooms, feared in government buildings, but nobody had ever approached Marcus in public and used that name out loud. Marcus's jaw tightened. "Kid, I think you have me confused with someone else." "No, I don't." The boy set his laptop on Marcus's table with trembling hands. "My sister sent me. Her name is Dr. Olivia Chen. She said if anything happened to her, if they came for her, I should find the man who drinks black coffee in corner booths and types faster than anyone she'd ever seen. She said you were the only one who could help." The name hit Marcus like a punch to the gut. Olivia Chen. 3 years ago, Marcus had been hired for what he thought was a simple corporate espionage job. Break into a pharmaceutical company's database, steal research files, get paid, disappear. Standard operation. But what he'd found in those files had changed everything. The pharmaceutical company wasn't just developing medicine, they were manipulating clinical trial data, suppressing evidence of fatal side effects, bribing FDA officials, and rushing dangerous drugs to market that were killing people, real people, families, children. Marcus had done what he always did. When he found corruption, he'd exposed it. Anonymous leaks to journalists, evidence dumps to regulatory agencies, the whole operation burned to the ground within weeks. But there'd been one person inside that company who'd helped him, a young research scientist who'd risked everything to provide him with the smoking gun evidence he needed. Someone who believed in doing the right thing, even when it cost her career. Dr. Olivia Chen. Where is she? Marcus asked quietly, his fingers already flying across his keyboard. The kid's eyes filled with tears. They took her 3 days ago. Men in suits came to her apartment, showed some kind of badges, said she was under investigation for corporate espionage. But she's not a spy, she's a doctor. She helps people. Marcus pulled up security camera feeds from the area around Olivia's apartment building. His fingers danced across multiple keyboards simultaneously, bypassing firewalls like they were paper walls. Within seconds, he had footage from 3 days ago. Black SUVs, men in tactical gear, not suits, military-grade equipment. This wasn't a legal arrest. This was a black ops extraction. They said she stole classified research, the boy continued, his voice breaking. They said she was a traitor, but before they took her, she managed to send me this. He opened the laptop he'd brought, entering a password with shaking fingers. What appeared on the screen made Marcus's blood run cold. If you're feeling the tension right now, smash that like button. Drop a comment. Would you trust a wanted criminal to save your sister? Subscribe because what happened next is going to blow your mind. The laptop contained a hidden partition, encrypted with military-grade security, but embedded in the boot sector was a message in code that only Marcus would recognize, a digital signature they developed 3 years ago as a failsafe. Marcus cracked it in 47 seconds. The files that emerged painted a picture of conspiracies so vast it made his previous discoveries look like petty theft. Olivia hadn't just blown the whistle on one corrupt pharmaceutical company. She'd uncovered something far worse. Project Nightingale. Marcus scrolled through document after document, his expression growing darker with each page. Beside him, the boy, who'd introduced himself as James Chen, Olivia's younger brother, watched with growing horror as the truth unfolded. "What is all of this?" James whispered. Marcus's voice was tight. Your sister discovered that 5 major pharmaceutical companies aren't competing with each other. They're collaborating, artificially inflating drug prices, suppressing generic alternatives, bribing officials to maintain their monopoly. But that's just the surface level. He clicked open another file. This one contained medical records, thousands of them, clinical trial data that had been falsified, patients who died during drug testing, their deaths classified as unrelated complications, medications approved despite dangerous side effects because the companies had enough money to bury the evidence. They're killing people for profit, James whispered, his voice barely audible, and Olivia found out. More than that. Marcus opened a video file. Security footage from what appeared to be a congressional hearing. She was planning to testify next week. She had evidence that would bring down not just the pharmaceutical companies, but the politicians they'd bought, the FDA officials they'd bribed, the insurance executives who helped them maintain their stranglehold on healthcare. The video showed Olivia speaking to what appeared to be congressional investigators, her voice clear and confident as she presented her evidence. But the timestamp made Marcus pause. This footage is from 2 days before she was taken, he said, which means someone in that hearing tipped off the people she was exposing. James' hands clenched into fists. So they kidnapped her to shut her up. But why not kill her? Marcus's expression was grim. Because she's more valuable alive. They need to know what evidence she has, who she shared it with, where the backups are located. They're probably interrogating her right now, trying to find every copy of this information so they can destroy it all. We have to save her. James's voice rose, drawing glances from other cafe patrons. Marcus shot him a warning look, and the boy lowered his voice to an urgent whisper. You saved people before. Olivia told me stories about you, how you exposed corruption, how you helped whistleblowers, how you fought for people who couldn't fight for themselves. Please, she's all the family I have left. Marcus stared at the laptop screen, at the evidence that could topple an industry worth hundreds of billions of dollars. 3 years ago, he'd promised himself he was done getting personally involved. He'd expose corruption from the shadows, but he wouldn't become a hero, wouldn't take on crusades, wouldn't let himself care too much. But looking at James's desperate face, at this kid who'd somehow tracked down the most wanted hacker in America because his sister had told him to, Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in years. Responsibility. "Tell me everything," Marcus said quietly. Every detail about the day she was taken, what she said, what she did, anything unusual in the days leading up to it. James took a shaky breath and began to talk. As he spoke, Marcus typed, cross-referencing the boy's story with digital footprints, security footage, cell phone records. Within 20 minutes, he had a timeline. But it was what James said at the end that changed everything. "The morning they took her, Olivia was acting strange. She gave me this laptop and made me promise to hide it. Then she hugged me really tight, like she knew something bad was going to happen, and she whispered something in my ear." "What did she say?" James's voice cracked. "She said, 'If I disappear, they'll come for you next. You're a witness to everything I've told you. Find Ghost, give him the laptop, and James, tell him about the other kids.'" Marcus's fingers froze on the keyboard. What other kids? James reached into his backpack and pulled out a folder. Inside were photographs. 12 children, ages 8 to 16, each with a name and brief description handwritten by Olivia. She called them the evidence kids, children of the researchers and whistleblowers who tried to expose Project Nightingale over the past 5 years. Their parents either disappeared, died in accidents, or were discredited and destroyed. Olivia was documenting all of them, trying to prove a pattern. Marcus studied the photographs, his analytical mind already processing the implications. This wasn't just about silencing one whistleblower. This was about going to war with an enemy that had infinite resources and zero conscience. But then he thought about Olivia Chen, the young scientist who'd risked everything to do the right thing 3 years ago, the woman who trusted him enough to send her little brother to find him when darkness came calling. "Okay," Marcus said, his voice carrying a weight of decision that James recognized as final. "Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to find your sister, but first we need to make sure you're safe, and we need to secure that evidence in a way that can't be destroyed." He pulled out his phone, not his regular one, but a custom-built device that bounced signals through 17 proxy servers across 9 countries. 3 calls later, he had allies mobilizing across the city. There's a woman named Sarah Martinez, former NSA analyst turned whistleblower advocate. She runs a safe house network for people in situations exactly like yours. You're going there tonight. "But I can help." "I'm helping by staying alive," Marcus interrupted. "Your leverage. If they can't find you, they can't use you to control Olivia. And if they can't control Olivia, she might still have a chance." While they waited for Sarah to arrive, Marcus began the real work. His fingers flew across multiple keyboards as code streamed across 3 monitors. To anyone watching, it would look like random strings of characters, but Marcus was building something unprecedented. A digital dead man switch. "What are you doing?" James asked, watching the screens with wide eyes. "Insurance," Marcus replied. "I'm uploading copies of Olivia's evidence to 273 different locations across the globe. Hidden servers, encrypted cloud storage, blockchain distributed databases. Some in countries that hate America. Some in places so remote they don't even have functioning governments. They're probably interrogating her right now, trying to find every copy of this information so they can destroy it all." That revelation changes everything. If this is keeping you on the edge of your seat, hit that like button right now. Comment, should Marcus save Olivia first or protect the kids? Subscribe, because what happens next is where it gets intense. Marcus stared at the photographs of 12 innocent faces, then back at James's desperate eyes. Every instinct he'd developed over a decade of operating in the digital underground screamed at him to walk away. This wasn't just about exposing corruption anymore. This was about going to war with an enemy that had infinite resources and zero conscience. But then he thought about Olivia Chen, the young scientist who'd risked everything to do the right thing 3 years ago, the woman who trusted him enough to send her little brother to find him when darkness came calling. "Okay," Marcus said, his voice carrying a weight of decision that James recognized as final. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to find your sister, but first we need to make sure you're safe, and we need to secure that evidence in a way that can't be destroyed. He pulled out his phone, not his regular one, but a custom-built device that bounced signals through 17 proxy servers across 9 countries. 3 calls later, he had allies mobilizing across the city. There's a woman named Sarah Martinez, former NSA analyst turned whistleblower advocate. She runs a safe house network for people in situations exactly like yours. You're going there tonight. But I can help. I'm helping by staying alive, Marcus interrupted. Your leverage. If they can't find you, they can't use you to control Olivia. And if they can't control Olivia, she might still have a chance. While they waited for Sarah to arrive, Marcus began the real work. His fingers flew across multiple keyboards as code streamed across 3 monitors. To anyone watching, it would look like random strings of characters. But Marcus was building something unprecedented. A digital dead man switch. "What are you doing?" James asked, watching the screens with wide eyes. "Insurance," Marcus replied. "I'm uploading copies of Olivia's evidence to 273 different locations across the globe. Hidden servers, encrypted cloud storage, blockchain distributed databases. Some in countries that hate America. Some in places so remote they don't even have functioning governments. They're probably interrogating her right now, trying to find every copy of this information so they can destroy it all." "Marcus," she said, her voice carrying both greeting and warning, "when you call on a favor, you don't do anything small, do you? Sarah, meet James. James, Sarah is going to keep you safe while I work." Sarah studied the boy, her expression softening. "Come on, kid. I've got a place with actual food, hot shower, and no one will find you there." James hesitated, looking at Marcus. "You'll really find my sister?" Marcus met his gaze. "I've never failed a mission yet. I'm not starting now." After James and Sarah left, Marcus allowed himself exactly 30 seconds to feel the weight of what he just committed to. Then he got to work. Finding Olivia wouldn't be easy. The people who'd taken her were professionals. They'd know how to avoid digital trails, how to operate off-grid, how to stay invisible even to someone with Marcus's skills. But Marcus had one advantage they didn't expect. He knew Olivia. 3 years ago, they'd worked together closely enough that he'd learned her patterns, her thinking, her habits. And more importantly, he knew she was smart enough to leave breadcrumbs for anyone who knew where to look. He started with her personal devices. Phone records showed her last known location was her apartment building, but embedded in her cloud backup were files she'd accessed in the 48 hours before her disappearance. Most were research papers and medical journals, normal activity. But one file stood out, a podcast episode about urban exploration downloaded but never played. The timestamp showed she'd downloaded it just hours before being taken. Marcus listened to the podcast. It was about abandoned buildings in Seattle, urban decay, forgotten places. Specifically, it focused on an old pharmaceutical research facility on the outskirts of the city, abandoned for 15 years after the company that owned it went bankrupt under mysterious circumstances. "Clever girl," Marcus whispered. She'd been telling him where they'd take her. He cross-referenced the location with recent satellite imagery, power consumption records, and unusual cell phone activity in the area. What he found confirmed his suspicion. The abandoned facility wasn't abandoned at all. Someone had been using it. Power consumption showed regular usage, heat signatures indicated human presence, and cell phone records showed encrypted communications originating from that exact location. But Marcus couldn't just walk in. This was a black ops site, probably guarded by private military contractors. He needed intelligence about the security systems, guard rotations, entry points. He needed to see inside the building without physically being there. Marcus smiled. This was what he did best. Over the next 6 hours, Marcus orchestrated a digital infiltration that would make most hackers weep with envy. He breached the security company's servers, downloaded building schematics, accessed guard schedules, and hijacked the facility's own security cameras. What he saw on those cameras made his blood boil. Olivia was alive, but barely. They had her in a converted laboratory, chained to a chair, showing signs of exhaustion and dehydration. Around her, men in suits were setting up what looked like interrogation equipment, medical equipment, things designed to extract information through pain. But what caught Marcus's attention was something else. In the background of one camera feed, he saw additional holding cells, and in those cells were children. Not 12 children, 14. James hadn't known about 2 additional victims. The loose ends protocol was already in motion. Marcus's hands clenched into fists. These people weren't just covering up corporate corruption. They were willing to murder children to protect their profits. Kids who'd done nothing wrong except have parents brave enough to stand up against evil. He picked up his phone and made a call he'd never thought he'd make. A number he'd sworn he'd never use except in the most extreme circumstances. "Agent Riley?" a crisp female voice answered. "If this is a sales call, you should know this line is monitored by federal authorities." "Agent Riley, this is Ghost. I have information about Project Nightingale, and I know where they're holding Dr. Olivia Chen and 14 children. But I need something from you first." The silence on the other end stretched for 3 full seconds. Then, "I'm listening." The stakes just got impossibly high. If you're hooked, smash that like button. Comment, "Can Marcus trust the FBI?" Subscribe now because the next twist will leave you speechless. Agent Rebecca Riley had been chasing Ghost for 4 years. She'd gotten close twice, missed him by minutes in 3 different cities, and spent countless sleepless nights trying to predict his next move. Her desk at the FBI's Cyber Crimes Division was covered with Ghost's greatest hits: leaked documents, exposed corruption, redistributed wealth. She'd always known he was good. She just hadn't realized he was good with a conscience. Now, sitting in her car outside the federal building in Seattle, she stared at the encrypted file Ghost had just sent her. Every instinct told her this was a trap, that Ghost was manipulating her to accomplish some larger scheme she couldn't see yet. But the evidence in that file was too detailed, too damning, too urgent to ignore. "Talk to me, Ghost," she said into her secure phone. "Why are you coming to me now? You've spent years making my life difficult." Marcus's voice came through clear and calm. "Because some things are bigger than our personal war. Project Nightingale isn't just corporate corruption, it's systematic murder. They're planning to kill 14 children to cover their tracks. I can get in, I can extract the targets, but I need legal authority to make sure those kids stay protected afterwards." "Why not just expose it all? Dump the files like you usually do." "I am exposing it. The dead man's switch is already armed, but exposure takes time. Media investigations, congressional hearings, indictments. These kids don't have time. They'll be dead before the first news story goes to print." Riley pulled up the building schematics Ghost had sent her. The old pharmaceutical facility, the security layout, the location of prisoners. It was detailed intelligence that would take her team weeks to gather through official channels. "If I move on this, I'm trusting you completely. If you're wrong, if this is a setup, my career is over." "Agent Riley, in the past 4 years you've been chasing me, have I ever lied to you?" She thought about that. Every time Ghost had communicated with law enforcement, every anonymous tip he'd provided, every piece of evidence he'd leaked, it had all been accurate, verifiable, true. "No," she admitted, "you haven't. Then trust me now. Those kids are running out of time." Riley made her decision. "I'm bringing in my team, full tactical response. But Ghost, after this is over, you and I are going to have a very long conversation about your extracurricular activities." "Looking forward to it," Marcus replied, and she could hear the slight smile in his voice. 2 hours later, Riley stood in a makeshift command center 3 blocks from the target facility. Her tactical team was gearing up. SWAT commanders were reviewing entry strategies. Paramedics stood by with ambulances. And somewhere in the digital shadows, Ghost was coordinating the whole operation. "Ghost, we're in position," Riley said into her comms. "Security status." "Neutralizing now," came the response. On the screens in front of her, Riley watched something she'd never seen before. The facility's security systems began failing in perfect sequence. Cameras looping their footage, motion sensors going offline, electronic locks disengaging, door access controls responding to commands they weren't receiving. "How are you doing this?" she breathed. "Trade secret," Marcus replied. "But you should know. They know we're coming. Someone inside just triggered an alert. You have approximately 4 minutes before they start executing prisoners." Riley's blood went cold. "All units, we're going in now. Lethal force authorized to protect the hostages. Move, move, move." What happened next would be discussed in FBI training sessions for years to come. Riley's tactical teams breached the facility from 3 entry points simultaneously, moving with precision born from hundreds of hours of training. But they weren't moving blind. Ghost was guiding them through the building in real time, using hijacked security systems to track enemy positions and identify threats before the tactical teams even encountered them. 2 hostiles around the corner, main corridor, armed with submachine guns. 3rd hostile on the catwalk above you. He's got line of sight on your entry team. Riley watched on her monitors as her teams moved like they had X-ray vision, neutralizing threats before those threats could respond. It was the most coordinated operation she'd ever witnessed, and it was being orchestrated by a criminal she was supposed to arrest. Dr. Chen is in Laboratory 7, East Wing. She's injured but alive. The children are in holding area B, basement level. You have 90 seconds before the guards down there receive orders to execute them. Teams 3 and 4, priority target is holding area B. Get those kids out now. The operation lasted 8 minutes and 43 seconds. By the time the dust settled, Riley's teams had rescued Dr. Olivia Chen and all 14 children. They'd arrested 23 private military contractors, 4 pharmaceutical executives, and seized enough evidence to keep federal prosecutors busy for years. But Riley noticed something interesting. The facility's data servers had been wiped clean, not destroyed, wiped. Every piece of electronic evidence carefully erased, leaving only what Ghost had already copied and secured. "Ghost," she said into her comms, "the servers are clean. You took everything." "Insurance," came the reply. "You have enough evidence to prosecute the people you arrested, but the complete files, the complete extent of Project Nightingale, the names of everyone involved, the scope of the conspiracy, that stays with me, my dead man's switch guarantee." Understood. As long as Ghost controlled that information, he controlled whether the most powerful people involved in the conspiracy would ever face justice. "We need to meet, face to face." "Not yet, because there's one more thing you need to know about Project Nightingale." "What's that?" "The people you arrested tonight? They're middle management. The real architects of this conspiracy are still out there, still protected, still dangerous. And they're going to be very angry that we just destroyed one of their operations." Plot twist incoming. This rescue was just the beginning. Hit that like button if your mind is blown. Comment, who do you think is really behind Project Nightingale? Subscribe. What happens next will reveal everything. Dr. Olivia Chen sat in the FBI's medical bay, James wrapped in her arms, both of them crying with relief. Around them, paramedics checked vitals on 14 children who'd been given a second chance at life. But Marcus wasn't celebrating. He was in a borrowed office down the hall, 3 laptops open, digging through the data he'd extracted from the facility's servers before wiping them. What he found made him realize they'd only scratched the surface. Project Nightingale wasn't just about price fixing and FDA corruption. It was about something far more insidious. The pharmaceutical companies weren't just suppressing generic drugs. They were engineering medical dependencies, creating medications that treated symptoms but never cured diseases, developing drugs with side effects that required additional medications, building a perpetual profit machine fueled by human suffering. And at the center of it all was a name Marcus recognized, Dr. Richard Blackwood. Marcus's blood went cold. Blackwood was one of the most respected figures in American healthcare, former Surgeon General, current director of the National Institute of Health, a man who appeared regularly on news programs discussing public health policy, a man trusted by millions, a man who'd been engineering medical genocide for profit. Marcus pulled up Blackwood's files, offshore bank accounts containing $847 million, shell companies connected to all 5 pharmaceutical giants in the conspiracy, and emails, encrypted but not encrypted enough, discussing acceptable mortality rates and optimizing patient lifetime value. Agent Riley appeared in the doorway. "We've got all the children stabilized. Olivia's asking to see you." Marcus looked up. "Tell her I'll be there in a minute, but Riley, you need to see this first." He turned one of his laptops toward her. Riley's expression shifted from relief to horror as she scrolled through the evidence. "The NIH director! Jesus Christ, this goes all the way to the top." "Higher," Marcus corrected, opening another file. "Look at these communications. Blackwood is taking orders from someone with the code name Architect, someone who's been building this system for over 20 years. Can you trace it?" "I'm trying, but whoever the architect is, they're even better at covering their tracks than I am, which is saying something." Riley pulled out her phone. "I need to brief my director. If Blackwood is compromised, we need to—" "Stop," Marcus interrupted. "Look at this." He pulled up a file showing communication logs between Blackwood and multiple high-ranking FBI officials, including Riley's director. "How deep does this go?" Riley breathed. "I don't know yet, but we can't trust anyone in official channels, not until we identify the architect and understand the full scope of the conspiracy." A soft knock at the door made them both turn. Olivia stood there, leaning heavily on James, her face bruised but her eyes sharp with intelligence. "I heard the name Blackwood," she said. "I need to tell you something about him." Marcus gestured for her to sit. Olivia eased into a chair, wincing from injuries Marcus tried not to think about. "When I first started investigating pharmaceutical corruption, I thought it was just corporate greed," Olivia began. "Price gouging, patent abuse, the usual. But the deeper I dug, the more I realized it was systematic, coordinated, like someone had designed the entire healthcare system to maximize suffering while appearing to provide care." "The architect," Marcus said. Olivia nodded. "I never learned their identity, but I found a pattern. Every major healthcare policy change over the past 2 decades, Medicare Part D, the Affordable Care Act modifications, pharmaceutical patent extensions, they all benefited the same 5 companies, and every policy was championed by officials who later received lucrative positions in healthcare industries." "A revolving door," Riley said. "More than that, a recruitment pipeline. The architect identifies ambitious people in healthcare, politics, and regulatory agencies, offers them wealth beyond imagination, and slowly converts them into pieces of a machine designed to extract maximum profit from human pain." James spoke up, his voice small but steady. "The kids we rescued, their parents all figured out different pieces of the conspiracy. That's why they had to die. And that's why you almost died," Marcus said to Olivia. "You were putting it all together." Olivia pulled out a small flash drive from her pocket. Somehow she'd managed to keep it hidden even during her interrogation. "This contains everything I discovered: names, dates, financial transfers, policy documents. But Marcus, there's something else." "What?" "The medical records you found, the falsified clinical trials, those weren't just for profit. Some of those drugs were designed to cause specific health problems, chronic conditions that require lifetime treatment. They're not just exploiting sick people, they're creating them." The room fell silent as the magnitude of that revelation settled over them. "How many?" Riley asked. Olivia's voice cracked. Based on my analysis, approximately 47 million Americans are currently taking medications that are intentionally designed to keep them sick. Marcus stood up, so fast his chair toppled backward. We need to release everything, now. Every news organization, every government agency, No, Olivia interrupted. If we just dump the information, they'll bury it, discredit us, call it conspiracy theory. These people have spent 20 years building their system. They know how to protect it. Then what do we do? Olivia looked at Riley, then at Marcus. We need someone they can't discredit, someone whose testimony will force investigations they can't block. Who? Riley asked. A victim, Olivia said quietly. Someone famous enough that the world will pay attention, someone whose illness was caused by Project Nightingale's medications. Marcus's mind was already racing. He pulled up pharmaceutical prescription databases, cross-referenced with celebrity health disclosures, mapped medication patterns against known Project Nightingale drugs, and then he found it. Senator Patricia Brennan, he said, pulling up her file. She's been very public about her battle with chronic illness, multiple prescriptions, progressive symptoms, and according to this, he highlighted several medications. She's taking 3 different drugs that are on Olivia's list of intentionally harmful medications. Brennan chairs the Senate Health Committee, Riley said. If she discovered she'd been poisoned by the very industry she's supposed to regulate, she'd have the power and motivation to burn it all down. Marcus finished. James looked between them. So we just tell her? Not tell, Marcus corrected. Prove. We need to show her exactly what they did to her illness, and we need to do it in a way that she can't ignore and they can't suppress. The conspiracy goes deeper than anyone imagined. If your mind is blown, slam that like button. Comment, should they trust Senator Brennan? Subscribe because the next confrontation will leave you shook. Senator Patricia Brennan was having breakfast in her Georgetown townhouse when her private email pinged with a message from an unknown sender. The subject line made her pause. The real cause of your illness. She should have deleted it. In 23 years of public service, she'd learned that unsolicited emails were usually scams, threats, or conspiracy theories. But something about the precision of that subject line made her click. What opened was a video message, a young woman with visible bruises on her face, sitting next to a teenage boy and a man whose face was obscured by digital masking. Senator Brennan, my name is Dr. Olivia Chen. I'm a pharmaceutical researcher who was kidnapped 3 days ago for discovering the truth about Project Nightingale. What I'm about to tell you will change everything you think you know about your illness. Brennan set down her coffee, her full attention on the screen. Olivia continued, 6 years ago, you were prescribed Synthorol for your chronic fatigue. 3 years ago, when that caused heart palpitations, you were prescribed Cardioxin. When that led to kidney problems, you were given Nephrogen. Senator, these aren't coincidences. These are designed failures. The masked man spoke, his voice digitally altered. Senator, I'm sending you encrypted files containing your complete medical records, the chemical composition of your medications, and internal pharmaceutical documents. Senator, you're not a patient, you're a product, and you've been generating approximately $127,000 per year in pharmaceutical revenue. The video ended with coordinates to a secure server and an encryption key. Brennan spent the next 4 hours reviewing the files. As a former prosecutor before entering politics, she knew how to evaluate evidence, and what she found was ironclad. Chemical analysis showing her medications contained compounds designed to cause specific side effects, internal memos discussing optimizing her treatment cascade, financial records showing payments to her doctors, and her own medical data spanning 6 years showing a perfect progression of manufactured illnesses. They'd been slowly killing her, and profiting from every step. She picked up her phone and dialed Agent Riley's number. It had been included in the files as a contact she could trust. "Agent Riley," Brennan said when the call connected, "I need you to arrange a meeting with Dr. Chen, with Ghost, and with whoever else is involved in this investigation, and I need it to happen today." 6 hours later, they met in a secure room in the FBI's Washington field office. Marcus still kept his face masked, but Olivia and James sat openly, surrounded by FBI agents Riley trusted implicitly. Senator Brennan looked at each of them, her expression unreadable. Then she spoke. "I've spent 6 years thinking my body was betraying me, believing I was weak, that I was failing. I've missed votes, canceled hearings, struggled to do my job while these bastards were poisoning me for profit." Her voice was steel wrapped in fury. "So here's what's going to happen. I'm calling for congressional hearings, public testimony, and Dr. Chen, you're going to be my star witness." "Senator," Riley warned, "we still don't know who the architect is. If you go public before we identify them, then they'll be forced to reveal themselves," Brennan interrupted. "People with this much power can't resist protecting it. They'll make a move, and when they do, we'll be watching." Marcus spoke, his altered voice cutting through the tension. "Senator, there's something you should know. We believe the architect has connections in every level of government, including the FBI." Brennan's eyes narrowed. "Then we'll need to be smarter than they are. Agent Riley, how many people in your chain of command do you trust absolutely?" "3, Riley said without hesitation. "Maybe 4. "Good, because we're going to need them." Senator Brennan just became a warrior. If this gave you chills, destroy that like button. Comment "Justice" if you think they can win. Don't forget to subscribe. What happened next brings the ultimate showdown. 3 weeks later, the Senate Health Committee hearing room was packed. Cameras from every major news network focused on the witness table, where Dr. Olivia Chen sat, composed despite the magnitude of what she was about to reveal. Senator Brennan gavelled the hearing to order. "Today, we'll hear testimony regarding what has been referred to as Project Nightingale, an alleged conspiracy involving pharmaceutical companies, regulatory agencies, and government officials. Dr. Chen, you may begin." For 3 hours, Olivia laid out the evidence. Documents appeared on screens behind her, financial records, internal memos, chemical analyses, the falsified clinical trials, the children whose parents had died trying to expose the truth. But the breakthrough came when Brennan herself testified. "I am not just the chair of this committee," she said, her voice carrying across the chamber. "I am a victim. For 6 years, I have been systematically poisoned by medications that were designed to keep me sick, to create cascading health problems that required additional medications, to turn my body into a profit center." The room erupted. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. And in a secure location miles away, Marcus watched on multiple screens as his dead man Switch sat armed and ready. If anything happened to Olivia, to James, to any of the children they'd rescued, the full files would be released automatically. But what Marcus was really watching were the subtle reactions of certain people in that hearing room. The way Senator Mitchell's hand trembled slightly when Olivia mentioned offshore accounts. The way Dr. Harold Preston from the NIH, Blackwood's deputy, checked his phone repeatedly. The way certain corporate attorneys exchanged meaningful glances. "Got you," Marcus whispered. He'd planted digital tripwires everywhere. Every phone in that room that accessed certain encrypted servers, every laptop that connected to specific VPNs, every person who tried to contact someone not in their normal communication pattern. And one person had just triggered all 3 alerts. Senator Robert Mitchell, ranking member of the Health Committee, the man asking the most aggressive questions trying to discredit Olivia, the man whose phone had just sent an encrypted message to an offshore number that Marcus had been tracking for weeks, the architect's number. Marcus pulled up Mitchell's complete digital life. 23 years in the Senate, champion of healthcare reform, or so the public thought, but underneath a web of connections to every pharmaceutical company in the conspiracy, shell companies, offshore accounts, and most damning of all, a series of encrypted emails going back 15 years, all signed with the same codename, the Architect. "Riley," Marcus said into his secure line, "I've got him. Senator Mitchell is the Architect, and he just made contact with someone. I'm tracing the call now. Can you hold him until we can make an arrest?" Marcus smiled behind his mask. "Better. I can make him expose himself." What happened next would be replayed on news networks for months. In the middle of Senator Mitchell's aggressive questioning of Olivia, every screen in the hearing room suddenly switched to a different display. Mitchell's own emails, his financial records, his communications coordinating the conspiracy, and most damning of all, a recorded conversation from just 3 days ago where Mitchell discussed eliminating the Chen problem permanently. The hearing room erupted into chaos. Security moved toward Mitchell, who stood frozen, his face ashen. Cameras captured every moment as the architect of 20 years of medical genocide was exposed in front of the entire nation. But Marcus wasn't done. As Mitchell was being led away, every phone in the hearing room received the same message. The complete files of Project Nightingale are now available at this secure site. The encryption key is justice. Share widely. The truth belongs to everyone. By the end of that day, the files had been downloaded 4.7 million times. By the end of the week, it was 89 million. Journalists across the globe were digging into the evidence, federal prosecutors were filing indictments, and the pharmaceutical companies at the heart of the conspiracy saw their stock values plummet. Dr. Richard Blackwood was arrested attempting to board a private plane to a non-extradition country. 47 other officials, executives, and conspirators were taken into custody within 72 hours. But the real victory came 2 months later. The Architect exposed in the most epic way possible. If you're cheering right now, smash that like button. Comment how many times you've rewatched it and subscribe. The final chapter will make you cry tears of joy. Marcus sat in a coffee shop in Portland, a different city, a different identity, but the same corner booth with the same black coffee. His face had been surgically altered just enough to fool facial recognition. His digital footprint had been completely rebuilt. Ghost was officially retired, and Marcus Sullivan was learning to be just Marcus. His phone buzzed, a news alert. The FDA had just announced sweeping reforms, new clinical trial requirements, mandatory independent verification of pharmaceutical research, criminal penalties for falsifying medical data. Senator Brennan's Healthcare Truth Act had passed with bipartisan support. Another message came through, this one from Agent Riley. "Coffee in Seattle next week? I promise not to arrest you. Probably." Marcus smiled. They'd developed an odd friendship over the past months. He'd turned over most of his hacking tools and techniques to help the FBI build better cybersecurity. She'd agreed not to prosecute him for past crimes in exchange for his cooperation in dozens of ongoing investigations. It wasn't exactly a pardon, but it was close enough. A familiar face appeared at his table. James Chen, now 14, carrying a backpack that thankfully contained nothing but school books. "Hey, Ghost," James said, sliding into the booth. "Olivia wanted me to give you this." He handed Marcus an envelope. Inside was a photograph. Olivia stood surrounded by the 14 children they'd rescued, all of them healthy, all of them smiling. On the back, Olivia had written, "Thank you for showing me that even the people society fears most can be the ones who save us all." "How is she?" Marcus asked. "Good. Great, actually. She's testifying at another hearing next month. 3 more pharmaceutical companies are under investigation, and she started a foundation, the Nightingale Foundation, to help whistleblowers and protect people who expose corruption." "That's good. That's really good." James studied him. "What about you? What are you going to do now?" Marcus looked at his laptop, at the screens that had been his weapons and his prison for so many years. Then he looked at James, at this kid who'd been brave enough to walk into a coffee shop and ask a wanted criminal for help. "I think," Marcus said slowly, "I'm going to try being one of the good guys, officially this time." "You were always one of the good guys," James said. "You just didn't know it yet." 6 months after Project Nightingale's exposure, the healthcare industry had been fundamentally transformed. 47 million Americans discovered they'd been taking medications designed to keep them sick. Class action lawsuits resulted in the largest settlement in American history. Healthcare costs began to decline for the first time in 3 decades. And in a small office in Seattle, a new cybersecurity firm opened its doors. The founder kept a low profile, but those who knew said he was the best in the business. Companies hired him to find their vulnerabilities before criminals could exploit them. Government agencies consulted him on protecting their networks. And sometimes, very quietly, he helped whistleblowers and activists protect themselves from the powerful people they were trying to expose. Because Marcus had learned something important. The world would always have people like Senator Mitchell, people willing to profit from others' suffering. But it would also always have people like Olivia Chen and James Chen and Agent Riley, people willing to fight back. And sometimes it would have people like him, people who lived in the shadows but chose to use their darkness to protect the light. The Binary Cafe in Seattle still had his favorite corner booth. He still drank black coffee. He still typed faster than anyone most people had ever seen. But now, when children in trouble needed help, they knew they could find him. Not as Ghost, the notorious hacker, but as Marcus, the man who proved that redemption is always possible. That even people society labels as criminals can choose to be heroes, that power without purpose is just noise, and that sometimes the smallest act of courage, a kid asking a stranger for help, can change everything. This story proves that anyone can choose to be a hero, and it's never too late to fight for what's right. If this journey moved you, destroy that like button. Let's hit 500K likes and show the world this message matters. Subscribe and ring that notification bell. More incredible stories dropping weekly. Share this everywhere. Someone you know needs to see this today. Comment below. Who impacted you most?